Let's just get straight to it. We're about to pull the lid off a financial time bomb that's ticking away on used car lots all across the country.
So I'm going to start with a few questions, and I want you to really think about them. First, could a simple scratch, a literal scratch on the bottom of your car, end up with a $40,000 repair bill? How is it even possible that the amazing promise of zero maintenance has secretly turned into a hidden $1,500 a year tax just on tires? And why in the world are $60,000 luxury electric cars losing their value 10 times faster than a regular gas car? Now, these aren't just hypotheticals. This is the new reality for a shocking number of EV owners, and it points to a massive, catastrophic flaw in the whole electric dream.
You remember the pitch, right? We all do. It was flawless. This was it. The clean, green transportation revolution. No more trips to the smelly gas station, no more oil changes, no more clunky, complicated engines. We were sold this picture of a future that was not only going to save the planet, but was also going to save us a ton of money. It was supposed to be a smooth, quiet, and wonderfully simple way to own a car.
Yeah, but that perfect fantasy, that beautifully polished marketing story, is now having a head-on collision with a really brutal and, for a lot of people, a financially devastating reality. Because hiding under that sleek, futuristic skin and behind that amazing instant acceleration is a design philosophy that basically turns these cars into giant, disposable electronics with a built-in expiration date.
To really get what's going on here, you have to throw out everything you think you know about how a car is supposed to work. See, the problem isn't the electric motor, not at all. The problem is that an EV isn't really a car in the traditional sense. It's a completely different kind of machine.
And this is the absolute key to understanding the whole mess. Think about your old Toyota or Chevy. It's a modular, mechanical thing. If the engine blows up, yeah, it's a huge pain. But a mechanic can go to a junkyard, grab a used engine for a few $1,000s and drop it in. It's fixable. A modern EV, though, it's built like a giant sealed-up iPhone on wheels. It is, for all intents and purposes, a massive piece of consumer electronics. And we all know what happens with our phones and laptops when the battery dies and you can't replace it, right? The whole device is basically bricked. And that fundamental shift from a repairable machine to a disposable device, well, that changes everything.
You see, we've been trained to think of the battery like it's a gas tank. You just fill it up and it's good to go. But that is completely fundamentally wrong. A better analogy is a chemical sponge, and every single time you charge it and drive it, that sponge gets a little bit weaker. Every scorching hot summer day, every freezing cold winter night, the chemistry inside degrades just a little bit. This isn't some defect. It is the unbreakable law of battery chemistry. It has a finite life, and that clock starts ticking the second it rolls off the assembly line.
And you know who knows this better than anyone? The manufacturers. That's why the government mandates a warranty on the battery, usually for about 8 years or 100,000 miles. And for that time, you're covered, you're safe. But the day after that warranty expires, you're suddenly standing all alone right at the edge of a financial cliff. And believe me, the drop is absolutely terrifying.
And this is the brutal math of that cliff. Just look at this scenario. You're shopping for a used car, and you find a great-looking 2018 EV for, say, $18,000. It seems like a steal. For a year, it's awesome. But then, year 9 rolls around. You're just past the warranty period, and the battery fails. You take it in, and you get the quote for a replacement, $20,000. Just stop and let that sink in. The repair costs more than you paid for the entire car. You are now left with an impossible choice. Do you spend $20,000 to fix a car that you only paid $18,000 for? Or do you junk the whole thing? Your prized asset is now a $20,000 liability.
And this quote, oh my gosh, it just nails it perfectly. The single biggest, most predictable maintenance event in the car's life, the eventual battery replacement, actually makes the car worthless. The car is, by its very design, totaled by its own upkeep.
But believe it or not, that battery time bomb, it isn't the only financial landmine waiting for unsuspecting owners. There are these other costs that are bubbling up, almost like a hidden ownership tax that just completely eats away at all those savings you were promised.
Okay, let's talk about something almost nobody thinks about. Tires. It's wild. A modern EV can weigh thousands, literally thousands of pounds more than a gas car that's the same size. And its electric motors deliver all of their power instantly. So what happens when you combine immense weight with neck-snapping torque? Well, you absolutely shred tires. And we're not talking about cheap all-seasons you can get anywhere. Oh no, these are often specialized tires with acoustic foam inside them to keep the cabin quiet. They can cost between $1,200 and $1,600 for a set, and you're replacing them every 15,000 miles or so. It's a massive recurring cost that can easily wipe out every single penny you thought you were saving on gas. And then you get this number. This right here represents another hidden tax, and this one hits your bank account every single month like clockwork. I'm talking about your insurance bill.
So why the huge price hike? Well, it's pretty simple. Insurance companies don't really care about marketing. They care about cold, hard numbers. They are actuaries, and their data is screaming at them that even a tiny little fender bender in an EV can lead to a financially catastrophic repair bill, which often forces them to just write the car off as a total loss. That risk, that extreme fragility, gets passed directly onto you in the form of a 20 to 30% higher premium month after month.
And that leads us right into the evidence. The real-world horror stories that show just how delicate these machines can be and how tiny little incidents are turning into life-altering financial disasters for regular people.
So get this, a Rivian R1T truck. It gets a minor dent in the rear quarter panel. Now, on a Ford F-150, this is a routine job. The body shop cuts out the panel, welds in a new one, paints it, simple. But on the Rivian, because the entire side of the truck is stamped from one single massive piece of metal, the official repair procedure required taking the entire truck apart. The estimate to fix a small dent was $42,000. It's just unbelievable.
Or this story, which this one is almost hard to believe it's real. A Hyundai Ioniq 5 is just driving down the road and it runs over some debris. The result? A scratch on the plastic shield that protects the battery pack underneath the car. I have to say that again. It wasn't the battery itself that was damaged. It was its plastic cover. The dealer's quote to fix it was over $40,000 for complete battery replacement because they said they couldn't just repair the cover. The insurance company took one look at that ridiculous quote and immediately declared the car a total loss, all because of a scratch.
So what do you think happens when the entire market, I'm talking buyers, rental car companies, insurance adjusters, everyone starts to figure this stuff out? When they finally realize that these cars are both incredibly expensive to fix and have a built-in death date. Well, you get what we're seeing right now, a full-blown market collapse for used EVs.
I mean, just look at this chart. This is what pure market fear looks like in data form. Over 1 year, the average used gas car lost a pretty mild 3.6% of its value. Normal stuff. The average used EV? It fell off a cliff, plunging by nearly 30%. That is almost 10 times faster. The market is screaming, absolutely screaming, that it is terrified of owning these things after the warranty is up. Nobody wants to be the one left holding the bag.
Think about it like this. That $60,000 luxury EV you bought isn't really an asset. It's a rapidly depreciating liability. It is hemorrhaging, just bleeding over $1,000 in value every single month it just sits in your driveway. It is, without a doubt, one of the fastest depreciating major purchases you can possibly make.
And if you're thinking, well, maybe this is just a problem for individual owners, think again. Look at Hertz, the so-called smart money on Wall Street. They went all in, buying tens of thousands of EVs. They believed the hype about lower maintenance costs, saving them a fortune. And instead, they got absolutely crushed by sky-high repair bills and that depreciation cliff we just saw. They ended up being forced to sell 20,000 of their EVs at a massive, massive loss. It was a corporate disaster that proves this problem is systemic and it's very, very real.
In all of this, all the financial traps, the disposable design philosophy, it all comes together and leads to this final, deeply unsettling irony at the very heart of this whole story. Remember the promise? The whole point of all this was environmental salvation. These cars were supposed to be green. But I have to ask, what is green about a product that is designed from the ground up to be unrepairable? What is sustainable about a system that forces us to throw away a perfectly good 5,000-pound machine just because one single component is too expensive to replace?
What we're actually doing is creating a tidal wave of high-tech, toxic e-waste. We are strip mining the earth for precious materials like lithium and cobalt, shipping them all around the globe, and building them into these incredible, complex machines, only to send them to the scrap heap in just a decade. It's the business model of a cheap printer that traps you into buying expensive ink, or a disposable vape you use for a week and throw away, but scaled up to the size of a family car.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, before you even think about buying a used EV, you have to understand the true total cost of ownership. You have to price in that inevitable battery failure,
the hidden tax of specialized tires and higher insurance, and the extreme financial risk of even a tiny accident. Because if you don't, you might just discover that in a world of disposable products, the most valuable thing being consumed isn't the car at all, it's you, the customer. And that is a really sobering thought on the real cost of so-called progress.